I'd like to start with a quote from Abraham Lincoln. This is at the end of the Gettysburg Address, and it reads that we here highly resolve that these dead shall not have died in vain, that this nation under God shall have a new birth of freedom, and that the government of the people, by the people, and for the people shall not perish from the earth. A chill runs down my back as I read those words, and rightly so, because it's also my hope the government for the people will not perish from the earth, and I believe that it will last. Some of you, like me, might question just how democratic our government is. In fact, you might obsess about it and you might study it out until you find an answer that suits you. Now, it's interesting looking at the structure of the American government because the legislative branch and the executive branch are elected by the people and governed by the people. The judiciary, however, is not elected by the people. They're appointed by the executive. They're separated from the people really far. And it's interesting to wonder exactly, or to question why that is, and to go seeking for an answer. And that's precisely what we're going to do today. To figure out this answer, we're going to have to go on a pretty broad exploration. We're going to first look into the roles of English common law, then we're going to look into the founders' ideologies, the founders being those who founded America and created the Constitution and everything. And then we're going to look at the structure of government and compare it in this context then. So to start, the role of English common law cannot be underestimated when it comes to American government and American development. So we're going to jump back in time and oversee to William the Conqueror in 1086 AD. Here we have the establishment of a centralized power, centralized authority that's taxing the people, but then also provides a dispute resolution tool, a court essentially, for those people that have something wrong with their taxes, right? So it's this dispute settlement system between the people and the crown. We're going to jump forward to 1154. We have the reign of Henry II. And according to the Gell Group, we have the introduction of a common law method of deciding cases whereby judges make decisions in accordance with other decisions they have rendered in similar matters. So essentially, we have this law spread out across England that is based in itself where one person is going to be tried like another person in a similar case. It was common throughout all the land, so it became known as the common law. So this law evolved over time, seeking ways to administer justice, but remember that the government is pulling power to itself, centralized authority. That power was not always used justly, and Magna Carta is proof of that. There's this conflict between the monarch, church, and the barons. The barons are essentially a ruling class at that time. Well, the barons meet King John in battle in 1215, win, and then say, hey, this is our Magna Carta. This is our great charter of rights. You need to accept it. The king accepts them. And right there we have the first instance where specific rights are accepted by the king. Now this is the basis for the future Bill of Rights in England, and then eventually moving forward, we have the Bill of Rights in America as well. So jumping forward 50 years, 1265, Parliament is formed. Parliament has the House of Commons and House of Lords. House of Lords are the barons. Eventually, the House of Commons gains more and more and more power until in 1642. There's a struggle for power between the House of Commons and the monarch that plunges the country into civil war. 1649, the struggle ends when the House of Commons tries King Charles I, finds him guilty for subverting Parliament and the rule of law. And they kill him. He's executed. 1689, earlier on, William and Mary agree to the English Bill of Rights. Now, this bill is essentially just provisions saying the monarch can't do certain things, and one of those is that the monarch cannot go against rule of law and cannot go against what Parliament says. And that's important because now here we have essentially government of the people, where the monarch can't just do what he wants or she wants. But from here, Parliament grows in strength, and essentially left unchecked, it becomes tyrannical. From here, we have people going across over into America, starting colonies there, the 13 colonies that start to feel like they're getting jilted by England with taxes, with military, with a bunch of other things that were coming in there. They didn't like it. They didn't feel it was right. this leads to war for independence. Somehow America wins. Somehow. Divine intervention. It's a pretty common theory there. And they set up a government after that that just is really loose, doesn't have centralized power, because they remember these powerful kings, these powerful queens, this powerful parliament that just bullies them, and they don't like bullies right now. Basically had it. But they realize, hey, this system that we've set up isn't really working. It's too loose. We can't achieve stability within these colonies. We're going to have a centralized power. And then comes the question is, how can we have a strong central government that does not eventually become tyrannical like all the other ones have? They found their answer in the judiciary. Now, in the Constitution, the third article, it reads, the judges, both of the supreme and inferior courts, shall hold their offices during good behavior, and shall, at stated times, receive for their services a compensation, which shall not be diminished during their continuance in office. So, as long as you're behaving well, you get a continual salary, and nobody can kick you out of your job. There's really, really good job security in the judiciary, because nobody can kick you out. It's illegal to kick you out. They did this so that the judiciary could provide that check on the legislative branch and the executive branch. Essentially, if the legislative branch or the executive branch creates a decision that goes against the common law, the law of the people that has been building up now for hundreds of years, the judiciary has the right to invalidate that law, that legislation, or that executive order, and say, this is of no force. It doesn't count. It is invalidated and the law is void. Now, Adam, Monica, and Mason point out that many thinkers and lawyers organizations have expressed the belief that while Congress and other elected bodies are and should be political in nature, the judiciary is distinctive. It's not political in nature. We don't vote for members of the judiciary. This is to make it so that they're separated from the people, because if they're relying on the people themselves could actually become a tyrant against a smaller portion of the population. We've seen that in American history. Now, that being said, there are checks on the power of the judiciary. In Federalist number 78, we read, it may truly be said to have neither force nor will, but merely judgment, and must ultimately depend upon the aid of the executive arm, even for the efficacy of its judgments. Essentially means that the judiciary doesn't have any force, and they can't say their opinions on certain things. All they can do is judge those things that are brought to them from the people. So a person will say, I feel like this isn't just. Take it to the judiciary, and then they decide, well, if it's just or if it's not. Now, a new practice is emerging in America where the people do elect judges. It would seem that this system goes against what the founders envisioned, but it has been found by Anthony J. Nouns and Colin Glennon that the election of judges actually enhance perceptions of judicial legitimacy rather than diminish them. But, and in conclusion, the way the founders saw it, the legislature had to be checked as well as the president. And how could this be done? They made a judiciary, that third branch of Congress, is there for a specific reason, to make sure that we do not have a tyrannical government. It kind of makes me think of Star Wars, when we talk about the Force being in and around everything. It's this kind of governing body. And then when the Jedi are seeing it for the first time, they say, there's light, I see light, and I see darkness. And a balance. That balance, for me, is the judiciary. Thank you.